What's up, YouTube? This is Ultra Rye, and today we are to talk about how to beat Johnny Cage and never lose to him again. Alright, so I lied. You're probably going to lose to Johnny Cage again, but it is what it is, right? He's a really good character, but there is some things that you need to know about him that will help you, right? Now, the thing about playing Johnny Cage is he has crazy pressure, and sometimes you're going to have to take risks and try to armor out, right? Because when he gets in close, he's a menace. And let's talk about why he's a menace. He's a menace because he has a 9-frame mid, right? This is a 9-frame mid, which means alpha 1 1, which is +3. This 9-frame mid actually comes out in 6 frames, right? So it's a frame trap. Most characters in this game, when they frame trap you, they have to frame trap you with highs, or they have to be super negative, right? And there has to be like a gap. Like for Lee May to frame trap you with the mid, you need to be she needs to do strings that have huge gaps in them, right? But Johnny Cage doesn't have to do that. Right. Standing 2, right? +4, frame trap. So he has a lot of things that he can frame trap you with. So he's just doing 1, 2, bam, but then you're afraid because he might use a cameo to make his mid safe. So you're not really pressing buttons, you can just 1, 1, 1, 1, then hit a mid, and eventually you're going to hit a button, and he's going to hit you for a combo. So that is what makes Johnny Cage so dangerous, his mid. But the thing you need to know, right, is if he does this mid, anything off of this mid is negative, right? So if he doesn't use a cameo to make it safe, it is your turn, right? Even the overhead, right? So, if he does anything off of this mid, make sure you're taking your turn back, right? Now, let's talk about his overheads, right? So he has 2 strings that end in overhead or a low, right? He has 2, 1, 4, which ends in a low. The thing about this is it is -8. If you block this string and he doesn't cover it with the cameo, you need to make sure that you punish this string, right? Just standing 1, bam, punish him. Unless you're Quan Chi, then I'm sorry. But he also has this overhead. Oh, my bad. Right here, 2, 1, 2. So the thing about this overhead is it is safe, but it is 24 frames, which means that it is reactable, right? This is not a 50-50. You don't even have to fuzzy guard this, right? You can just block low and react to the overhead. So you're really never going to get hit by this mix-up, right? You're really never going to get hit by this mix-up as long as you can practice reacting to it. And the same with his other string, right? He has forward 1, 2, 4, which ends in an overhead, another 24 frames, right? And then it ends in a low. So the thing about this is the low is -4, it is safe, but the overhead is -12, which means that it is punishable, right? Again, this is something that you can react to if you practice, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not, because I'm old and I have trouble reacting to it, right? So, to avoid having to react to these, right? You can do this thing called fuzzy guard. Here, I'm going to set the opponent to, we have him block. Set the opponent to the overhead. Then this on random hidden of him. Low, right? And do the low. So, what you're gonna notice is, oh, my bad. I gotta change my control screen. There we go. Cool. I had to change my control scheme. I wasn't blocking. I'm used to using a hitbox, but I'm using a controller because it's hard to do the thing. All right, so let's do this again. So, my bad about that. So now he's doing low, right? So now he's gonna mix between them, right? He's gonna mix between them, and what you can do is you can block low, or you can block overhead, and you're gonna block both of them. He should. I might have to reset. There we go. See? So I blocked the overhead, right? So what I'm doing is I'm blocking low. I'm blocking low first because the low comes out first. And let me explain this to you by switching back to him. So if you notice, the low comes out in 17 frames, right? And the overhead comes out in 24 frames. So what I was doing there was I was fuzzy guarding, which means that I block low first and then I block overhead because you're always going to block the low overhead mix up like that, right? But, so if you can't react to overheads and someone keeps on doing these, you can just fuzzy guard it, right? I also have a more in-depth fuzzy guard video that I will link in the comment or in the description for you, so you can click on that, right? But both of his strings that end in overhead low, you can fuzzy guard or you can react to. And then he also has his mid, right? He has his mid that ends in an overhead. But the thing about this is it is 31 frames, right? And off of his mid, he either has mids or he has an overhead. So you can always just block the overhead. But let's say he's using a Lao with low hat or something, and then you can just, you know, let's say he does something like that, right? You can just react to the overhead and continue to block low. So that is what Johnny tries to does, right? He does staggers into his mid, staggers into mid into Lao, and stuff like that. So you gotta understand when Johnny Cage gets close, right? Every time he does like this into this, you might not be able to hit a button, but you can armor through, right? So let's go back to this. That wasn't tight enough. So every time you can just armor through it, right? If he goes to do like a stagger string, unless he's using an armor break move, you can armor through it. Or let's say he does 1-1, 1-1, right? Same thing. You can armor through it. So what you gotta understand is sometimes against Johnny Cage, you have to take risks, and you need to... Sometimes you're gonna have to take a chance in armor, right? You could go to armor through, right? And he could block. Man, okay, wrong thing, my bad. So you could go to armor through. And he could block. Right? But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't ever do it, right? Because if you don't ever do it, you're just gonna get abused. Because if you don't take a chance to armor through, he can literally just do this all day, right? Now, do know that all of his pressures, all of his plus frames do start with high attacks, right? Unless he's using a camo, obviously, but we're not worried about cameos right now. So, if you think that he's not going to go into his mid, okay, yeah. So if you think he's not going to go into his mid, and he's just going to, 1-1-1-1 again, you can micro duck it, right? You can micro duck it for a full combo punish. So, that's another thing that you need to learn how to do. You need to learn how to micro duck, because this is going to make this matchup that much easier. Because not all Johnny Cage are always going to go into their mids, right? The issue with micro duck in this is if he does go into his mid, right? If he goes and you try to micro duck him, you're gonna get hit in the face because it's a 9-frame mid. So the thing with Johnny Cage is, it feels like he always plus. He always is. When he uses highs, he's normally plus, or when he uses a cameo. But at the end of the day, off of his mid string, there is nothing that's plus off of it, right? So sometimes you gotta call out his staggers. Sometimes you gotta armor through. Learn how to fuzzy guard. And like I said, I'm gonna put a more descriptive video about summer fuzzy guard in the description, and it's actually against Johnny Cage. And learn how to react to overheads, and this matchup becomes a lot more manageable, right? I understand that it is super annoying, and it is one of the harder matchups for newer players to deal with, but go to the lab and practice, and I promise you can figure it out. Now, this guide might not help you win Evo, but it will help you win some matches against Johnnies in combat leagues, right? I appreciate the support. Y'all have a fantastic day. Make sure y'all join the Discord if you want to be in the next seasonal tournament that starts when crossplay starts. We have a friendly community, a lot of beginners, and we're just helping each other level up. Go follow my Twitch, and have a fantastic day.